Perfect. Okay. All right, let's get started. Welcome everyone to our webinar today, developing your cost to serve to support your supply chain design with anyLogistix. Quick introduction about us. Today, we have Ershad Jahargidar with us. He's a supply chain consultant at Singwell. Jean-Daniel Mathieu will join shortly. He's a solution architect at Singwell. And myself, Isidro Liñán, I'm supply chain practice lead at Singwell. We're really thankful to anyLogistix to host this webinar in which we're going to explain how to develop your cost to serve to support your supply chain design. Quick introduction about Singwell. We are a premier partner for anyLogistix, and we help customers with their supply chain challenges in the whole spectrum from supply chain design, running network optimizations and what-if simulations for them, doing warehouse planning, and doing route optimization. So we help customers with all the challenges with the supply chain because we provide all the pieces necessary to support projects and capability development, from optimization, simulation, data engineer, data science, and creating your own digital twin. We are a leader in simulation with over 80 people all over the world. We have a global footprint, and we are proud partners with anyLogistix, which we're going to talk about it today. anyLogistix is a self-contained solution with integration capability to tackle all your supply chain challenges. Today, we're going to talk about the cost to serve, and this is just the tip of the iceberg of all the anyLogistix can do for you. Okay, so let's get started. Let me just double check here. First, okay, let me see if I can see the Q&A. Have it here. All right. Perfect. Team chat. Okay. I think we're fine. Okay, we're going to start with a little introduction about why cost to serve is important. Okay. First, I think all the people attending here, if you're a supply chain professional, you have heard this acronym before, which is VUCA, which stands for the world that we live in, and we were hardly remember we were increasingly reminded with COVID-19 is volatile, there is a lot of uncertainty, it is really complex, and we have a lot of ambiguity. So given this VUCA environment that we live in, we need to use the best processes and solutions to tackle those challenges and increase our transparency in our decisions and our capabilities to take actions efficiently. A change in paradigm that we have seen with our customers is that they are recognizing this VUCA environment, and they are shifting from a traditional approach, which is more strategic. Usually customers used to use supply chain design solutions every year or few years. And now they are aiming to use the supply chain design tools at that strategic and tactical level, running it monthly or at least quarterly, and then going down to the details to be more actionable. The intention is to have an analysis that is comprehensive, and it is white box instead of being black box that is applicable. And then all the stakeholders understand why the decisions are proposed and how to take action. And what are some of the drivers of having to do this analysis more frequently and with more detail? Here we grouped those variables into three big buckets that I'm sure as supply chain professionals that you understand that where there is always changes in three different aspects. The first one is changes in demand. Supply chain professionals face completely changes in demands, in volumes, in products, and customer geography. Those needs to be adapted, and we need to make decisions about it. Then we have changes in rates. Then we have differences in new opportunities, new lanes that come up, new opportunities for different facilities or different methods of production and variable cost facilities. And finally, the part of the constraints. There are sometimes that there are factories, facilities, or transportation lanes that change their capacity, and we need to evaluate how that's affect to find our global solution for assigning our flows in our supply chain. Okay, so we're gonna pass it to Ershad now, and he's gonna show us a model in logistics that is an example for how to apply this cost to serve. Okay, Ershad.
Yeah, thanks, Isidro. So now we will quickly go over the model we have into the anyLogistix. So we have around 140 customers in our model, and the model is single period model, which is for the horizon of 1 year. We have the 12 DC into the model, 6 factories, 2 suppliers, 1225 end products, 20 raw products. The supply chain is 3-tier supply chain. So we have the suppliers, we have the raw material producing factories, we have the end product producing factory, then the warehouse connected to that factory, and we do have the DCs, and then from DC to the customer. And in our model, like we have the transportation cost calculation policy is fixed delivery cost. So whether you ship it by ship half of it or full of it, it will charge the fixed cost as per the industry benchmark. And we have the sum of the constraints, so we will look them into the model. So I will share my screen. Let me okay. I'm trying to share my screen. Can you stop sharing your screen?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can you find it at the bottom of the window? There's a green button. There you go.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Oh, good.
So in our model, like we have the few constraints, so we will quickly go over it. So the one of the constraint is a production time capacity constraint. So at each factory, we know what is the total capacity of it. Let's say the factory operate for 350 days. And we know to produce 1 unit of the product at that facility, we require some amount of the time. So we need to add that constraint. And within ALX, like we have the custom constraint features. So using that, we have built that constraint. So we created the label that will be stored the values that will contain the amount of product produced at that facility of this product. And we have that we can access this variable into the custom constraint. Yeah, in custom constraint. So each variable hold the amount of the product produced at that facility, and we multiply it with the time coefficient. So this is the time coefficient per unit. So multiplication of these and sum over the facility should be less than the maximum time that is available for this facility. So this is nothing. This is something you can say the variable we created. So it is a continuous variable that we can create within the ALX, and this is a simple math like LHS should be less than or equal to the RHS. So this way we added the production time capacity constraint. And another interesting constraint was like there was some of the few customers which can take any of the 2 products. So in that case, like we need to deliver only 1 product, but based on the transportation cost, based on the production cost, or whether the capacity is available at that facility or not, we ask model to help us to identify which product we should deliver to the customer. So for this, we use the product flow table. So let me go over this. Yeah. So this is a customer which can take, let's say any of the 2 products. So this is a group of product which contain that 2 alternative product, and we want to deliver only one of these. So how are we making sure that we are delivering only one of these? So we added the value in the max throughput, so that represent the actual value. So even if this group contain the 2 product, model will try to deliver only one of these. So this way we identify like which product we should deliver to the customer and which not, based on the other parameters and other constraints. So this is a brief view of the model. And once we have the model ready, like we can take the result from the model to the Excel. So I can quickly show it to you. So basically into the output from the ALX, like we get the typical results or KPIs, or you can say the tables, necessary data that is required to analyze the various aspects of the supply chain. Like we have the product flow. So I'm just storing it here. Let me just open it. So we will quickly go how the result looks like from the ALX. Yeah. So you see, like we have some of the tables like product flow. So basically in product flow, we get the information like how the product has been flowed from which supplier or from which source to which destinations. And we also get like by default the distance. Right now you see the distance is here. So ALX by default calculate the distance by the road. And in this case, like to create the cost to serve visual, like we use this visual most because it gives us the trace of where the product has produced and from where it is being delivered. And we use some under another tables like vehicle flow table. So since in our model we are using fixed delivery cost, so the transportation cost will not be appear into the product flow. There is one case from the supplier to the factory, but for other things you can see like there is no transportation cost, because the transportation cost in case of the fixed delivery will appear into the vehicle flow table. So we have the cost since the model contain fixed delivery cost. So we have some pickup kind of trucks, intermodal kind of thing. So we have the cost for them. So making use of product flow table, making use of the vehicle flow table, and there are some tables called production cost and the production flow. We can create the cost to serve. So we will see that into the demo, next demo.
Perfect. So really good explanation about the model. Ershad, do you want to show again the anyLogistix?
Yeah, anyLogistix model.
Yeah, can you show again the anyLogistix model? There you go. If you can go to the model. Okay, so one of the advantages of anyLogistix is that you have a place for everything and everything on its place, as Ershad was explaining there. If you go back to the model, Ershad, let's go to the model to the top. There you go. You can see here that anyLogistix provides a user interface that allows you to have all the elements that you need to model your supply chain for doing a network optimization. You can see in the top that you have a detailed map showing all the objects, your suppliers, those factories, distribution centers, and customers, and you can show the connections as well there. And then looking into the tables, we see how this maps to what Ershad was presenting before in the PowerPoint. We can see the number of, Ershad, if you show the number of customers, for example, if you show the customer table, there you go. So you can see that in this model, we have 140 different customers. You have in the DCs and factories table, you have different 33. And you go to the demand, you can see there are almost 2,000 lines of demand that represent the customer, the product, and the parameters that we have there, right? And in this case, we can see that we have modeled with a periodic demand that represents the whole year for the demand for that customer and this product. Okay, and then if you can go to the path table, okay, you can see that here we have how many are they? 8,000, right? Different paths. So it gives you the flexibility that you get with anyLogistix, modeling your transportation costs, which is a really important component in supply chain design, with multiple policies, as Ershad is showing here, and assigning different costs, because we know that in transportation, the cost per lane are usually different. And you have all this flexibility here to model everything. In this model, Ershad, do you have different vehicles? Can you go to the vehicle table?
Yep.
There you
So
go.
we have around 10 types of the vehicles. Some of them are for the internal movement. Some are the like we have the rails, we have the trucks, different type of the trucks like 3 axle, 4 axle. Based on the customer location, we use that. We have the specialized truck for some different kind of the product. Like if the width is very high, then we need to deliver it by specialized truck. We can't deliver it by the truck. So we have around 10 vehicles into the model.
Perfect. Okay, so that answered one of the questions that we had in the chat. Yeah, you can do multimodal optimization in logistics. You can model anything that you can describe. Basically, you can model in your network optimization. Okay, so we've seen the model. We've seen how anyLogistix provides a flexible solution to model your supply chain, and how can you export your results to have it a really strong and really powerful output. Now we're gonna move into demo number 2, and Ershad is gonna show us how, using those outputs that we get from anyLogistix, how can we create a cost to serve that give us even more insights into it. Ershad, you wanna share your screen and guide us into it?
Yeah. So now we will look into the dashboard that we created for the cost to serve thing. So here you can see the cost to serve into the column. This column, total cost to serve, it is per metric ton, and we can see this cost to serve by, like, we have the filters by customer, by products. Out of this total cost to serve, like we have the bifurcation, like we have the production cost and the transportation cost. So in some case, like in our model, we just had these 2 parameters, but you can add the inbound processing cost, outbound processing cost, inventory carrying cost. You can add the profit or revenue as per the requirement. So these are things you can add into the model and add into the Power BI as well. And in the visual, like below this, like you can see the like which out of the total cost to serve, like for each customer, which component is making more cost or more contribution to the total cost. So this type of the things we can see out of it. You can create the multiple scenario and see, like the one I created with the second is the one with the 20% more demand. So we can create multiple scenario and check whether the cost to serve is making sense or not. Because if we change the demand, there might be some customer which have the same cost to serve, but there might be some customer which even though there are some customer which in this case, like the cost to serve will be reduced, but there might be some customer in this case the cost to serve will be increased. So we will quickly check one customer, I think this one. So in first case, like I think this one, in this the first case we see cost to serve is around 188, and in second case the cost to serve is increased a lot. So whenever there is change into the demand, we need to run the model to get to know what is the cost to serve that specific customer with that demand. And based on that, like there are some use cases of this, like cost to serve, like based on like, okay, so there are some more visual, like where we can deep dive into the details, like how the product is delivered to the customer by taking a lot of parts. So we can say, let's take this customer, and we can see like this customer is getting the product from these 2 production plant. What is the amount of the flow happen? What is the transportation cost, production cost, everything that is needed for the analysis we can get out of it. And speaking to on the cost to serve, so yeah, so once we get to know like which component is making more to the cost to serve, so we can, let's say in this case, like for this customer, the first customer, it's like transportation cost is adding more contribution to the total cost. So we can work on our policies to make the transportation cost more efficient, or we can outsource it so that we can reduce the transportation cost as much as possible. So this is one of the thing. And once we know the cost to serve, let's say we got the new demand, we run the model, we know the cost to serve. So based on that, we can propose the client or your customers, yeah, this will be the selling price that we will charge from you, because we have from this we will get information about the margin. Like if the cost is like 100, so we want to maintain the margin of 10%. So based on that, we can propose the selling price or cost for the specific customer and specific product. So this is one of the key use of the cost to serve. And yeah, so the most important thing on this cost to serve is like since this visual is very easier for understanding, so it helps in verification and validation of your new network design result with the what they have into the baseline. So your client can get more trust within your model. So this I think these are the key things I think that make you to happen, like when you have the cost to serve into the detail analysis. And yeah, and one of the thing, like you have the baseline, you can create the same visual for the baseline, and you can create the same visual for your optimized one. And you can find out the which are the top 10 or top 20 lanes which are making most cost. And client can also verify this top 10 at a higher priority and verify it, so they can implement only that small amount of the things into their models before implementing everything into the model. So this help for us to verification and validation, and it helps for the client as well for implementing the results and verifying them, and then implementing that small amount of the chunk which are making a lot of impact into the model. So I think these are the things. Anything is it where you want to add?
That was great. Perfect. And Ershad, you have shown the participants how you can get details with different legs as well, right? So you can go down into the details and find how many legs each of the shipments are taking, right?
Yeah. So here we can see some of the customers are taking more legs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's the customers are going to DC and then to the customer, but some customer are directly going to the customer. So this all information we can get out of it.
Perfect. Okay. So I think this, Ershad, anything else to add with the model, or do you want me to take it over?
Yeah, I think we covered. Like, is there any question specifically on cost to serve?
Yep. Okay. So let me move then to the takeaways. Okay. Can you stop sharing your screen? Okay. Let me see. I need to find the button for sharing. Okay. What is the button for sharing? Share. There you go. Okay. Sharing my screen now. All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So we've seen in logistics all the that we can build detailed presentations of our supply, identify what lanes and what paths have cost higher than others, and then do necessary adjustments and understand how we serve our customers in all the paths in our supply chain options. Some takeaways that we want you to have with this short webinar. With anyLogistix, you can develop a comprehensive view of your supply chain, and you can gain detailed insights into your supply chain's production and transportation cost. So you can really optimize how your supply chain is working and create a continuous optimization loop in which your supply chain is going to be always optimized. You can identify the most cost-effective methods for reducing operational costs and compare multiple different scenarios until you find the solution that is feasible for your supply chain. And really important, with this method of cost to serve, you can really engage stakeholders and you can validate decisions with data-driven insights for improved outcomes. So your stakeholders doesn't have to wonder anymore why your model is proposing something. You can show them, discuss it, adjust it, and drive your organization into action. Okay, so we have a few minutes for questions. We've been active answering the question and answers. So let me see if there is something else that you wanted that is pending. But just for you to know, you can download the PDF here in the Zoom platform, And in this one, you will find links to our profiles. Let me go here really quick. If you want to contact, you have links here to our profiles. And here you have links for downloading anyLogistix and start a free trial. You can check the upcoming anyLogistix. You can visit Singwell website, and you can send us a message here. And there is multiple content here that you only have to go through the links or scan it to find more about how can you optimize your supply chain. Okay, so a few questions here. We have, let me see, Shu Shan asking here, can ALX use in solving the single source network design problem? And our understanding is yes, you can solve single source network design problems, finding the most effective supplier for your network. And we have a follow-up question. In the supply chain network design, one customer can only be fulfilled with one DC. So yes, Shushan, you can have a flexible approach in which you can fulfill one customer only from one DC. That is a possibility, and that's part of the constraints that Ershad was trying to show, right? Ershad, is that correct? I think we cannot hear you.
Yeah, I think we have that kind of constraint, like one customer can take one product from one DC. So we can definitely build that kind of constraint within using the custom constraint feature from the ALX.
Okay, perfect. All right. And then other questions that we asked, there were people asking about the integration with Power BI, and anyLogistix is a really flexible tool. You can use it with, you can get your results from Excel and have a simple deployment with the desktop and pulling your results in, or you can use the professional server and use the API, and you can pull it from a database. So really flexible tool to connected with a Power BI or your visualization tool of choice, and then get the results that your stakeholders are more used to. Okay, and I don't see more questions. We have another question by Ikram Koresi that is asking about if anyLogistix is capable of loading and simulation multimodal transportation. As Ershad has shown before, you can do all the modeling of multiple different modes of transportation, different vehicles with different capacities. So that's really a possibility. You can describe it, then you can model it with anyLogistix. Okay, so I think that concludes our webinar. We'll be looking forward to engaging with you. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Try anyLogistix. You have the link there for the free version, which is really powerful. It will give you a good idea about what you can do. Yeah, exactly. And if you want tutorials, anyLogistix are really established solution with over 10 years. It was released more than 10 years ago. So you have extensive tutorials and explanations. Just type anyLogistix help and you will find it. Okay. And I think that concludes our webinar for today.